The WTA Finals will be here before you know it. So who is in to this year's WTA Finals? We now know on the women's side of things for the WTA Tour that all 8 spots are all locked up. Starting with the number 1 spot here for this, Aryna Sabalenka. Yes, you heard that right. Sabalenka did pass out Iga Swiatek for that 1 spot. As far as the race towards the WTA Finals, as far as the overall rankings, Swiatek still has that very close, though, 700 points separating Sabalenka and Swiatek. But for Sabalenka, being on the hard courts the rest of the way, really got to like her riding into this WTA Finals here. Winning at Cincinnati, winning the U.S. Open, then just winning at Shanghai. Sabalenka is rolling. Now, as you guys just heard there, yes, Iga Swiatek also on this list. 2 spot, but again, still the world number 1, barely. Again, very tight race there. But Iga Swiatek going through a coaching change at the moment. Really curious to see how things are going to play out the rest of the way for Swiatek. Now, when you talk about people that have been red hot as of late, you got to talk about this next person. Coming in right now at number 3 is Coco Gauff. Remember at the U.S. Open point, guys, right? Things weren't going well for Gauff. You're wondering what's going to happen with her. She splits up with her coach, Brad Gilbert, and things just kind of start going swimmingly all of a sudden here. Winning the China Open, big win there for Gauff. That was a WTA 1000 event, her first WTA 1000 win of 2024. Then follows it up by going to Shanghai, making the semifinals there. So Gauff playing very well. Now, again, when you're looking at these rankings, right, it's the big picture as a whole. And when you're looking at that, this person is having the best year they've ever had on tour and absolutely deserves to be in the spot in Jasmine Paolini. Paolini, in the earlier part of the year, wins a big WTA 1000 event. Then we get to the middle part of the year. She finishes runner-up at the French Open, finishes runner-up at Wimbledon. Now, I know a little bit of struggles here in the later part of 2024, but overall, in its totality as a whole, Paolini, very good year, absolutely deserving to be here, qualified right now in the 4 spot. Number 5 spot, a little surprised here a little bit, but again, you're talking about totality here. Elena Rybakina. Rybakina's been banged up. She's been injured. We haven't seen her in a little meaningful period of time, but she's had a few WTA 1000 events where she's finished runner-up. She's won a few 500 tournaments. And then let's not forget, 2 guys, Wimbledon semifinalist and also a French Open quarter finalist. So again, you talk about totality. Rybakina did rack up some quality points there, even though she's been banged up. But we'll talk about that injury here in just a little bit and what that means for the rest of the field. But for right now, let's get to who's in at number 6, and that is Jessica Pegula. Pegula really came on in the later part of the year. Some injuries in the early part of the year. Things weren't going so well. But we kind of saw her the lead up to Wimbledon, played very well, had a bad Wimbledon showing. But then the hard courts here, later part of 2024, red hot, winning the Canadian Open, runner-up at the U.S. Open. And then, obviously, I know things kind of fell off a little bit here in China after that U.S. Open. But still, given that Cincinnati runner-up that she had, the Canadian Open Championship, U.S. Open runner-up, that very good stretch. A lot of damage there for Pegula to rack up points. Pegula in at number 6. Now at number 7, this person, again, great 2024 overall in Qinwen Zheng. Zheng started the year off in a big way, making the Australian Open finals, losing to Sabalenka in that tournament. We know she also won the Olympic gold medal, too, as well this year, which is a big thing for her. But for Qinwen Zheng, the other big one was U.S. Open, making it to the quarterfinals there. Then a very good showing in her home country of China. Had a good China Open. Then in Shanghai, made it all the way to the finals, losing to Sabalenka. Again, Sabalenka's kind of been her Achilles heel, her kryptonite here in 2024. But Qinwen Zheng, great year here in 2024. Now, who's in at number 8? This is where the rules kind of come into play here, because this person has not had a good 2024, but they won Wimbledon. Barbora Krejcikova. I mean, again, like I said, it has been pretty outside of Wimbledon, but if you win a Grand Slam, you are in to the WTA Finals. That is how the rule works. So despite all the bad showings, she is in because of that great showing that she had at Wimbledon. So she takes that final 8 spot despite being in that 12-13 range within the rankings. Now, again, flashback to when I was talking about Elena Rybakina. We haven't seen her in a little bit, right? She's been dealing with an injury. She's been banged up. It is her goal to be able to compete at these WTA finals. But what happens if she doesn't? That leaves a spot. So even though for some of these players here, right now, they're not in, you're kind of waiting to see if somebody pulls out. Most likely there is going to be a pullout. It would be Rybakina. So they have to play tough towards the end of the year. You're looking at Emma Navarro, who has had a very good 2024 overall, actually sits at the 8th spot in the rankings, but again, Krejcikova jumps over her. Then you have Danielle Collins. Again, very good first part of 2024. Things kind of tailored off a little bit here in the later part of the year, but still, Danielle Collins overall, a very good year, close by in the point system. But again, have to see if there's going to be a dropout somewhere. And then, of course, Paula Badosa playing great in this late part of 2024. She's been really racking up points as of late. She could definitely, if she continues to play at a high level, could make the points things interesting. But again, you would need somebody to pull out. So, again, big moral of the story here. Those are your final 8 players that are qualified. If things remain the same, there isn't a pullout, they will be your final 8 players in this year's WTA Finals.